Hey there, today I'm going to show you how to draw Spider-Man. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the basic shape of his head. So let's start at the front. I'm going to start up by doing a curve, just like so. Right, from here, I'm going to work my way down to the chin. With a curve in towards the chin to a point. Okay? And then from here, I'm just going to swoop up to the side of his head, around the same height as this point here. Now this is the top point of his brow. And then I'll draw a circle, or a half circle, for the top of his head. And I'll just connect those 2 points. Okay? So he's sort of in 3/4, so he's sort of looking that way. Right? So let's start with the first eye. So here, I'm just going to draw a point. I'm going to draw a curve that goes up, and then at the end here, I'm just going to flip it up at the end just a little bit. Okay? And from this point, I'm going to come down, I'm going to swoop around, and connect to that point there. Right? Now let's go to the other side here. I'm going to start up at this point where I've got that curve in. I'm going to come down to the same height as that point there. And then I'm going to connect this part of the indent to that center point there. Okay? Now around this, I'm just going to thicken up the area just for the black of his eyes. So let's go in and draw a curve and just thicken that in. Right? I'm going to round out this end here and thicken out, and then I'll taper in towards the center here, just like that. Okay? Now let's go to the other eye, and here I'm just going to, because it's sort of in 3/4, I'm just going to thicken up this side, taper towards center, and then here I will do the exact same thing, so thicker on the outside, and then come in towards the center, just like that. So there's his head. Now I'm going to draw his arm in the front. Let's go to the shoulder. So up by the eye, I'm going to draw a curve out. Okay? Now from here, I'm going to draw a curve in, and it kind of points out towards the elbow. Alright? I'm going to come in with a little notch. I'm going to go out with a little curve, and I'm going to come back in towards the wrist, just like that. So a little in, and then a little swoop out. Let's go back up towards the chin here, and I'm going to draw a curve for his bicep, in. I'll curve out for his forearm, and then I'll do a reverse curve in towards the wrist, just like that. Alright? Now let's go and draw a little bit of detail. So here, from this point, down the center, I'm just going to come swooping down towards the wrist, and then from this point, I'm going to come up and hit that point right by the forearm. Okay, let's draw his hand in. So I'll kick a line out for his thumb, do a little curve out, okay? And then I'll curve this back in just like that. Okay? Now, he's going to be holding his web, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mock that in really quickly. So from here, I'm going to draw a diagonal angle just like that, and I'll kind of make it thicker on the outside and kind of converge towards the center just like that. Okay? And in between here, I'm going to do a series of 2 hashes. Okay? So these kind of like represent knots in his web. Okay, I'll do one more down here, just like that. Okay, and it can be very rough, it doesn't have to be very clean. Okay, so let's go into his index finger. So I'm going to draw a line just like this. I'll curve that around, and I'll come back in towards that thumb. Okay, and from here, I'm just going to draw a line through the center. Okay, so that's sort of his first joint there. Okay, then from here, I'm going to kick a line out, and I'll come back in towards the center of the hand, and I'll draw some overlap. So 1 and 2. And you can see that I'm sort of angling them out. And from this point, I'm just going to connect to that wrist joint right there. Okay, so there's his hand. And because this rope is kind of, or this web is kind of coming in like this, it's wrapping around his hand. And I'm just going to do a swoop just like that in the back. Okay, and it could be any shape you want, and it can overlap, doesn't really matter. And I'll draw a couple more little double lines just like that. Okay, let's go into the other arm. So from here, I'm just going to imagine the shoulders kind of curving behind that head, and I'll draw a line just like that. Okay, now for the shoulder, I'm going to draw a line out, okay, and I'll come back in with a short little line. Okay, let's finish that off there. Okay, then from here, I'll do a little overlap, and I'll kick that out towards the elbow. All right, and from here, I'm just going to draw a simple curve towards the wrist. Okay. Now I'm going to try to get the same thickness of the shoulder going down towards the wrist on this side here. So here, I'm going to draw the bicep. Okay, so it's a curve in towards the elbow. I'll kick that line out for the forearm, and see how thin I have it here. I'm just going to try to match that towards that wrist right there. Okay, and then from this point, I'm going to draw a line in for his chest. Okay, and I'll just draw a short little line in right now for the line going towards the center of his chest. Okay, and I'm going to have his legs sort of spread out this way. Okay, so before I do that, I'm just going to finish off his hand. So let's go into the thumb. So I'll kick a line out, come back in, and I'll draw a line out again. Okay, and curl this line around just like that for his thumb. And he's going to be doing this pose just like that. Okay, so I'm going to keep my hand like this. So what happens here is I got my finger. I'm just going to kick a straight or a curved line just like this, square off the top, and I'll come back in. Okay, I'll do 1, 2 little humps, kick another line out, sort of square off the pinky, bring that in just like that. Okay, and you can see my finger back here. So I will draw 1, 2, and I'll finish that off with a line just like that. Okay, and then like I did here with the detail, I'm going to draw in a curved line just like this, and then I'll curve towards the shoulder and come down to the chest. Okay, so let's do his back. So back here, I'm just going to draw a straight line or a curved line just like that for his back. Okay, now with the legs spread like this, I'm going to pick my center. Okay, this is where his hips are going to be. Okay, so from this point, I'm going to curve a line underneath that arm and work my way to his kneecap. Okay, and from here I'll draw a little line in for the knees, and then I'll curve this line for the shin. Okay, now let's go back here, and so for his butt, I'm just going to kind of curve a line just like that. Okay, so curve and back to a point here. Imagine this line coming up. So I will draw the back of his leg, just like that. I'm doing overlap here for his calf. I'll kick this out just like so. Alright, let's go into the bottom of his foot. So here I'm going to imagine there's a heel that goes behind that web, and it goes up to his toe. I'll round that out a little bit, and I'll come in. I'll kick it back out just like that. Okay, and then go back to the front of the toe and just join that line. Okay, now let's go in and draw a curved line just like this for some detail. Now let's go back to this foot here, on this leg. To this point, I'm going to go outward the other way. Okay, so I'm going to stop here because there's going to be another foot. So his leg comes like this, bends over, and then there's his foot right there. So let's draw his foot. So similar to this, I'm going to try to get a little bit bigger here. So I'm just going to draw a curve, just like that. Okay, I'm going to go in the opposite direction and round out that heel. Okay, here I'm going to come around and join up with that heel, just like that. Okay, and then just inside, I'm just going to draw a line for some foot detail. So let's go ahead and finish that line off. It goes behind that foot and out to a kneecap. Okay, square off that kneecap a little bit. And curve in. Okay, and I'm going to curve out to connect to that heel. Alright, and then from here, I'm just going to draw a line just like that. Okay, so that's his shin. And then we'll draw a curved line for his boot. And then from here, I'm going to come up behind that foot. Alright, last thing to do is draw in his emblem in his chest. So here I'm just going to draw a diamond shape. Okay, diamond, and I'm going to color that in black. And I'm going to draw a smaller one on top for the spider's head. I'm going to come out and up. Okay, out and up. So I'm just drawing the legs. Okay, and you can spend a little bit more time and do this a little bit cleaner than I am, but I'm just kind of going through this really quickly. Okay, just like that. And then you're going to go in and do all the line work for the webbing on his costume. So there it is. There's the basics. I'm not going to do the lines right now because I just don't want to mess it up. So you guys can take a look at the video at the end when I color it in and just see how I do all the lines. But that's pretty much it. There is Spider-Man. Thanks for watching.